Welcome to the Creative Cast. I'm your host, Tammy Munson, podcast producer, coach, and CEO of Wildfire Creative. Are you struggling to grow and monetize your podcast? Want to learn more about starting your own podcast? Are you looking for the secrets behind the business side of podcasting? Well, friends, you are in the right place. Here on the Creative Cast, I'm going to be sharing all the tips and tricks on all things podcasting for the faith-based podcaster. Each episode is going to contain powerful information to help you get started with your own podcast, learn the secrets of building a business, and of course, growing and monetizing your podcast. All right, y'all, without further ado, let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back. Right now, it is starting to feel like fall here in small town Iowa. When I got up this morning, it was 59 degrees and it was glorious. The leaves are starting to turn colors. The temps are dropping, kind of like the leaves on the trees. The neighborhood that we live in is called Forest Park, and that's because it's like a forest around here with all the trees. And I am here for all the fall things. If I could just have spring, summer, and fall, I probably would never move. All right, maybe. So today is also the funeral of Queen Elizabeth, depending on when you're listening to this. And just what an amazing legacy she has left. And what a commitment to service. I believe I read up to 2 days prior to her passing, she was working. And I absolutely loved her over the years and her choices of bold colors, as well as her sense of humor. And I know not everybody liked her and not everybody had warm, fuzzy feelings for her, but I absolutely adored her. Now, I know I have several listeners in the UK, so all of my thoughts and prayers go out to the royal family, the people of the UK, and everyone who loved her, no matter where you are. And a special shout out to my British friends, Constance, Sam, and Nikki. I am drinking my British tea today in honor of y'all. Okay, friends. So if you're listening to this in real time, I don't want you to forget to grab your spot for Wildfire Creative's new quick launch podcast intensive. Now, if you've been thinking about launching a podcast for whatever reason, whether it's time, motivation, know-how, you still haven't done it, this intensive is designed specifically for you. So in just 6 weeks, this intensive will show you a step-by-step how to turn your podcast idea into an actionable podcast plan. But here's the best part. Y'all, you're not going to do it alone. I'm inviting a small group of 6 to 8 women to go through the process together. And we just have a few spots left for this. Each week, we'll go through a short video training and assignment. We will meet for live group coaching to talk through your specific questions. And you'll get lifetime access to a resource library loaded with bonuses, free tools, and templates to set you up for success. Now, at the end of the 6 weeks, not only are you going to have everything you need to launch your podcast, but you're also going to have a built-in community of fellow podcasters to lean on for help, support, and encouragement, and who are in the same season as you when it comes to your podcast. I'm so very excited, and it costs less than $50 a week. That's it. But the doors are going to be closing soon. So head on over to wildfirecreativecompany.com/quick launch to save your spot today /quick launch to save your spot today. And if you're a current client, don't forget about the $100 off your next invoice by referring someone. And if you're not a current client, but you want to take advantage of that $100, refer someone, have them put your information in the referral field on the registration form, and you will get $100 credited towards your next service. if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at tammy@wildfirecreativecompany.com or send me a DM on Instagram. And I cannot wait to see y'all in the intensive. Now, today's episode is a little different. As I said at the beginning of season 3, I wanted to really dive in behind the scenes of podcasting, being a creative and running a business. After all, we're all creatives trying to grow our podcast and establish our influence and authority. So let's do exactly that. The main thing I want to talk about today is influence. Now, we all hear about influencers thanks to social media, right? It's almost become a derogatory word in certain spaces. Now, that type of influence has little in common to do with what I'm talking about today, effective influence, with people in your industry or your niche. Now, most, not all, but most social media influencers are just there to make some money, sell their products, maybe get some free stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I could spend a whole episode on social media, influencers, capitalism, and the psychology of all of it. However, once you grasp what it feels like to truly be inspired by people who've made a defining mark in your life, you'll have a sense of meaningful influence, person to person. Now, I've been very lucky and blessed that I've had several influential people in my professional life as well as my personal life that have completely changed the direction of my business, my goals professionally and personally, as well as dreams for the future. Now, I believe that most people in the digital marketing and podcasting space are looking to become an influencer in one way or another. Now, whether you want to improve your authority among your potential clients, maybe find yourself speaking at a conference or a retreat, or even publishing a book, you first need to build your overall authority and influence. Now, 17 years ago, wow. Can't believe it's been that long. But 17 years ago, when I started on this journey, I based it almost completely on building my influence and honing in on my podcast editing, audio engineering, and production skills. Now, back in 2007, when I first heard about podcasting and realized, wow, this is really cool, I want to get involved in this, I, along with my good friend Wendy Cooper, we wanted to launch a podcast. So we attended the PodCamp New York City event, 2007, I believe it was April 2007. And I remember sitting there watching my friend Cece Chapman, who is one of the OGs of podcasting. I remember him being swarmed by new podcasters just wanting to get in a question. And at the time, Cece and I had talked a few times on Twitter before the event. And so I waited until all the fans were mostly gone, and I walked up to him and just said hello, how I just wanted to say hi, and I enjoyed our chats, because Twitter was very, very different back then, and you could do that without all the ads and all the other things. He really appreciated that, and we had a wonderful chat. And every time after, when we saw each other or chatted via social media, it was always a nice conversation leading to a wonderful relationship that continues to this day. Now, I also have another story about that same event where I got to meet Gary Vee, but this was way before his popularity and his influence soared, when he was just kind of known as the wine guy. And I was like, I'm not that big into wine. Yeah, there's something about missed opportunities, y'all. But anyway, I have many stories like this, but the point is that you are who you surround yourself with. One of my college professors at the University of Southern Mississippi once told me that if you are the smartest person in the room, it's time to get a new room. And that really stuck with me over the years. So I want to encourage you, take the time to build real, honest to goodness friendships with influencers in your space, in your niche, as it will increase your influence, as well as earn you a few cool friends, right? And who couldn't use more of that, especially these days? Here's a few things I've noticed over the years. about people of influence. The first is they are intentional. They prioritize what needs to be done throughout the day using efficient scheduling and keeping their sights on a long-term view. They also choose their words with care because when it comes to being influential or influencing others, words really do matter. Another thing, they connect. When you come into the space of someone influential, I have found that you're always included. The true influencers. Sometimes they ask you questions. Other times, you're offered feedback to bring you into that loop, to bring you into that circle of trust. So this connection reminds us that while leading the effort, they know that they can't do it alone. And that's why you're much more likely to want to collaborate with them, work with them, and are excited about the possibilities of what you may accomplish together. Most influencers that are influential to me, they're resilient. They don't let stuff get them down. They're aware that things don't always go as planned. And when the unexpected does happen, they're ready to dig in and find new ways to manage that situation. They share that with their team because they know that they can't do it all by themselves. They take calculated risks and reveal what they face. And you know that they are there for the long haul, the long-term game. The challenges, the roadblocks are not debilitating for them. They offer the person of influence a chance to reframe it, reboot it if necessary, and develop a new action plan. They also learn new things. They're constantly learning. They know they don't know everything. You are drawn to their level of enthusiasm as you see the impact of learning for the sake of, well, learning. So let me ask you, friend, are you ready to build influence in your niche? So here are a few tips for you. Listen without interruption, because listening is almost a state of mind. When you listen, you are present. You're paying attention to what someone is saying and not to what you want to say. So practice repeating the last sentence or part of the sentence the other person says. This repetition helps you establish a connection because the other person feels heard. Or you can paraphrase, like, I heard you say X, Y, and Z, to check for the understanding and demonstrate that you care enough to understand. Because being listened to is rare enough that doing it so genuinely is likely to raise your influence on the person you listen to. As Stephen Covey once wrote, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. So another tip is act with integrity. You are the same person regardless of where you are, regardless of the setting. It also implies the coherence between your values, your actions, and your words, regardless of the content and regardless of who you're talking to and where you are. So do what you say you're going to. If your goal is to get others to count on you, honor your commitments. Because when others feel that you are dependable, you become a reliable presence. Another key thing that I found when it comes to influence is give others a voice. If you'd like to share your ideas when talking to someone, pause and ask for someone else to introduce them or share a suggestion. Making sure those around you are heard and understood gives them the freedom to say what they want to say. You empower others by offering them this opportunity, and in turn, they feel included. Now, this next one, I am not the best at, and it's a daily struggle to do, but it is to take care of yourself. In order to be present and lead the way for others to follow, you need to check in with yourself regularly. Now, this is physically, emotionally, spiritually. Ask yourself, how are you feeling? What's bugging you? Are you getting enough rest? Are you taking care of all of your needs, your physical needs and your spiritual needs? What about relational? Do you need to spend more time with your family or friends? Do you need to spend more time in God's Word? So one of the things I do with this is I set up a regular time weekly to just kind of do a check. How am I feeling? What's going on? Is there anything that's happening that I need to let my doctor know about? Do I need a nap? Do I need to schedule an infusion for my chronic illness stuff? Have I spent time in prayer or journaling? All of those kinds of things. One of the other tips that someone shared with me a couple years ago was to really be relevant with your skills, because I found that being influential means staying up to date with the latest developments in your industry. And this was really, really true in 2020. I saw this a lot. And by staying relevant with your skills, you're ready to pivot if necessary, if things require that. Again, 2020, that was like the year of change, right? Even in 2021, it was still kind of like that. There were so many people that weren't ready to go completely digital. They didn't have a website. They didn't have a lot of the things that they needed in order to move their business into that. Some businesses made it, a lot of them didn't. But if you stay relevant and you stay up to date with all the things, or as many as you possibly can, or the things that you find the most important in your niche and what your audience is needing to know, then you're aware of the change that's coming and can embrace constant change. You're not afraid of it. One of the things I used to hear a lot when I worked in the corporate world was holding fast to this is the way things have always been done, or I know best. But that's not a recipe for influence in today's society, because by observing trends and forecasts and reading articles by people who are much smarter than me and know a lot more than I do, I can adapt and reinforce what you guys need to know and share that information with you. One of the trends that I'm recognizing right now, and this is with some of my podcast coaching clients, but also things that I'm noticing within the social media space, is to stay focused on what truly, truly matters. By removing yourself from minor issues and being in competition, quote unquote, sets you apart. And that's because you're much more interested in knowing what makes others tick so that they can perform better and more effectively. You want to direct strategic steps that will take your team to the next level, do your work in a manner that demonstrates exceptional standards, staying in your lane, so to speak, and doing the things that matter for you and not getting bogged down with all the minutia. A lot of times in podcasting, we go, well, that podcaster has a show similar to mine and they are just killing it. It happens. We're not perfect, right? But if you're focusing on what your audience wants, providing great content, putting out great podcast episodes, really keying in with that storytelling, that's really the things that you need to worry about, not what someone else is doing over there. Support them, encourage them, congratulate them, but there's no reason to be jealous of them and worry about what they're doing. You stay in your lane and do what you need to do. Another thing that I found is engagement with others. Because if you want people to be interested in where you're headed, what you're doing, all those types of things, you need to do what it takes to relate to them authentically and meaningfully. Now, you probably know the names and the tendencies of the people that you work with, whether it's within your business or people you collaborate with or friends on the internet. And you should really find ways to bring out the best in them. Celebrate their wins. Be transparent enough that those around you feel as if they know you. So, building influence through examples and conviction isn't necessarily going to net you millions of followers, but it can and will have a longer lasting ripple effect by shaping decisions, directions, and earning commitment and loyalty of those around you if you're doing it authentically. As you build influence, you may not know how your actions are impacting someone else, but I guarantee they will by simply offering feedback, supporting another creative or podcaster, or just completing a challenging project, because that's what you do and that's who you are. Because your character develops when no one is looking, and it's only in hindsight do you realize that you are unpacking what it means to influence people. So next week, we're going to dive into how to plan a podcast episode structure. Now, why? Well, you wouldn't try to drive across country without a plan or at least a GPS, right? I think it's always far better to know how long is it going to take you to get there, which highways do you have to take, and if that random motel you found has any recent homicides. Sorry, a little too much true crime podcast and forensic files episodes lately. But really, it's the same thing for your podcast. So we're going to dive into all the things about that next week. So make sure to join us for that. There is no new recommendation this week. It was in all honesty, a very difficult health week. So I do apologize about that, friends. But ladies, y'all are my superheroes. I believe in each and every one of you. Y'all are absolutely 100% amazing. And y'all influence me each and every day. Because I believe that all the worries of inexperience and the overwhelm and sometimes intimidating technology that doesn't work the way that it should shouldn't prevent you from accomplishing your goals, whatever they may be. So we're going to continue to walk through this journey together, you and I, and all of our other podcast friends, so that you can spend less time worrying about the details and more time spreading your message, God's word, sharing your creativity. I hope that you have a great day. I really hope that this episode was helpful for you, and I will talk to you next Monday. Bye, y'all.